here I am willing to present you a subject that is very, very dear to me, which is H2oGPT and everything GPT related. So I'm super excited about this and thank you for joining me, because today I want to give you an intro, and I am taking this approach of trying to demystify as much as possible GPT concepts, because I know there are a lot of people who are interested in these products, and I feel like if we are able to present them in a friendly manner and in a manner that doesn't always talk technicalities from the backstage perspective, they are going to be interested and eager to use them. So this is what I think holds the majority of people back right now in trying to tackle with these services and products, and I'm here to unveil the subject and bring some clarity on it. So I structured my presentation in the following. I'm going to give you a bit of technical and theoretical context actually on what GPTs are, what LLMs are, and what is H2oGPT finally. I'm going to show you what are the limitations of current existing models and benefits of open source models. And afterwards, I'm going to have with you, hopefully together, a follow along through the H2oGPT services. So the first question that comes into mind when we are trying to tackle this this new technology that appeared and started to show up everywhere is, what are GPTs in general, right? So GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. This is the abbreviation of it, and it is a type of advanced language model built using deep learning architecture called a transformer. So I know this might be a bit complicated for people who don't have deep knowledge into the domain, but actually what I'm trying to explain here is that these models that are being used are designed to generate human-like text and are trained on a massive amount of data to learn patterns, context, and relationships with language. And so that's very important, because we are human beings that have developed ourselves in a social context where we want to communicate information. This is how we evolved. This is how we reached this technological advancement point right now, by communicating. So it makes sense for us to want to communicate with our technology and to be able to take the most useful information out of all the information that we have out there and use it in the best purposes and make it very efficient for us and very productive for us while working on different topics. So just to summarize this point here, GPTs are a specific type of language model that belongs to the broader category of large models. And so this is what we might encounter as a new concept, LLMs, large language models. So you might say, well, Andrea, you explained to me what GPTs are, but you are giving me a new topic that I'm not very aware about. Why should I be interested, for example, in what LLMs are? So LLMs have a lot of topics going on, technically speaking, but am I really interested in the technological aspect of it, developer aspect of it, or should I just understand conceptually what this is about? And my answer is, in the majority of the cases, just having a conceptual understanding of it is enough for you to be able to implement and see the usefulness of these models. So I went to H2oGPT, and we are going to do that together a bit later on. And I asked that directly, right? So what are LLMs? And I received the following answer, which I think for me is pretty accurate. So large models and large language models are AI models designed to understand and generate human-like text. And they are trained on large amounts of data and learn to predict the likelihood of a word or a sequence of words given the context of the surrounding text. So actually, large language models are a broader category of the GPTs that we saw earlier. And you can observe here that my question is, why should I know what LLMs are? And H2oGPT correctly answered that understanding what LLMs are and how they work can help you better understand the capabilities and limitations of these models, as well as their potential applications in various fields. So we are now living in an age where actually we are just at the beginning of this extremely popular concept, and it is getting used more and more. And our purpose as trainers also, and as developers of these sort of applications, I think, is in promoting them as much as possible, because onboarding on tools that can help us sometimes might not be intuitive, but we can make it intuitive. And this is something that I am a promoter of. And so why should I know what LLMs are? Well, there are a lot of reasons for that, but we have a lot of business cases that we can apply these types of models. And so, for example, content generation. So large models can generate high qualitative content for various purposes, including articles, product descriptions, social media posts, blog posts, etc. And so you have here a non-exhaustive list of types of business situations where we can apply these LLMs, such as extracting insights from data, personalizing our marketing campaigns as users, enabling virtual assistants, analyzing data, facilitating voice-based translations or interactions. So a lot of capabilities, and there are more and more applications that start using AI capabilities that include LLMs in their functionalities. And so LLMs actually are just computational models that understand and generate human language by training on vast amounts of data. They can learn grammar, vocabulary, contextual relationships to generate coherent and relevant text. And so understanding what this is and knowing that it is on the backstage of what we are using as an application is crucial for effective communication and critical evaluation of the generated information. We as users need to understand what is the exactitude, what is the accuracy of the information that is being issued. And there are in these algorithms all sorts of metrics that are able to evaluate that. And this type of situation, understanding why LLMs are important, are also crucial for understanding some of the biases that might occur. And familiarity with this opens opportunity, making collaboration with AI systems more efficient, and this enables also responsible use for enhanced user experiences. So all the interest here of understanding what this is about. And if we talk a bit about the origins of LLMs, they are pretty recent, even beyond 2017. But h2oGPT arrived in this era as an answer to open source LLMs that are permissible for commercial use. So there are a lot of options out there. Ours promotes commercial use and open source communication and collaboration. And that's why I think this is a great alternative to other GPT sources there are. What is h2oGPT finally? Let's ask h2oGPT directly. So here I have just a screenshot that shows you the fact that, well, this is also an LLM, a large language model that can be used for a variety of tasks, including answering questions, generating text, and all sorts of other natural language pre-processing systems. This is how we call it in data science a deep learning model that has been trained on a very large corpus or amount of text data and can be used in various contexts, including analyzing this text and generating summaries, texts, giving answers to questions, so on and so forth. So it is very, very powerful, and I really think that this can enhance someone's productivity, because by using it, you are just leveraging things that are out there that can improve your life and can help you in your daily work. And so what can I do with h2oGPT? What can h2oGPT do for you, right? That's one of the other questions that I had when creating this presentation. And this is just to illustrate the fact that when you start from a tabula rasa, right, when you start from the beginning and you want to do a presentation, well, these LLMs and especially H2oGPT can help you create your content by answering to basic questions that maybe you yourself are wondering. So my presentation relied on H2oGPT as a corpus of what I'm presenting here, just to show you that it can be extremely coherent if you are giving the good questions and you are filtering out the good answers. So I have just an example here. H2oGPT can help you with a variety of tasks, as we said until this point, performing calculations, playing games, translating between languages, generating text, providing technical support. And in these examples, you can see right out of the bat that these are contexts that can be applied to business. Like, as a user of a product, I would be very, very interested in having technical support based on the documentation that my service comes with. So why not just receive an answer without needing to search for it of pages of internet, right? And one of the main things that H2oGPT can do is actually boost your productivity. I'm not going to go through the stages. I just want to show you the fact that here we are in this 2023, where we already start implementing with H2O personalized and specialized models to support employees in their daily tasks. And coding, for example, summarization, analysis of text, brainstorming are just a couple of the options that we have available. And so for this example, I took the paper that was written by our developers on H2oGPT and I took a look at it, right? I tried to understand. There are so many technicalities here. Maybe some of them are not completely clear to me because I'm not a developer, but it doesn't stop me of putting this document in H2oGPT and asking for a summary, right? So because I'm a bit lazy, this is exactly what I did. I uploaded this document online on H2oGPT and I asked for a summary. And here it is, H2oGPT giving me a good summary of what this document is about. It has just a couple of pages, but I can upload hundreds of pages and maybe just ask summaries for a particular chapter. So that's one of the great functionalities that I saw into this application, which I'm definitely going to use in more advanced use cases further on, right? So this is just an example to show you of the potential behind this platform. And we are going to go through a follow along together in a couple of moments. I wanted to stop a bit on the limitations of existing models because this is extremely important. Popular hosted LLMs have limitations compared to open source LLMs. And so these concern data privacy and security when using external servers, for example, limited customization and control compared to open source models from the hosted LLMs that are out there right now, usage fees that can be high for large scale applications, and availability, meaning downtime or limited access to the models. So obviously, all the solutions that are there are very good for us to use, but the majority of them do not give us that possibility of being able to host our own LLMs in our own platform if we want to. And H2oGPT does exactly that. It helps us to implement this technology on the user's interface without having any concerns of the privacy, because actually the information that the user is giving does not reach anymore the hosting services of the provider. We also have flexible deployment on premises or private clouds for uninterrupted access and tunability for customization and code modification. So obviously having an open source model out there for the clients, such as H2oGPT provides, gives greater control, cost effectiveness, and it addresses data privacy concerns. And so that's why I think this would be a great technology for anyone if they are having any of the concerns that hosted methods have. And so just here, the last thing before we go into the demo itself is to show you that H2oGPT is an extremely friendly user interface, which actually is commercially usable. It has models that you can work with. It gives the ability to prepare open source data sets for tuning, and it gives you this possibility of tuning on your own enterprise hardware. There is a deployable chatbot with the user interface and Python API, and there is a performance evaluation is also coming, as well as optimizations, for example, like LoRa and other types of things that the user does not normally have the capacity to choose when selecting other hosted methods. I'm going to show you two platforms here because I love both of them. So the first one is GPT-GM. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to open interface that actually is similar to other GPT interfaces that are out there. And I just want to go a bit through this one because it has additional functionalities that I didn't see to previous open source GPT interface platforms. So for example, h2oGPT, in this case, you can see the version. On the left side, you are able to access all the history of the chats that you are going to create. You can also select the models. So there are a couple of models. I do not want to enter into the technicalities, but there are 3 models from which you can choose, which serve as basis of the h2oGPT answers that you are going to get. So these are models that have been trained, and now you just have the output of this particular model. Also, you have a couple of suggestions, and one of the functionalities that I saw, which for me was pretty interesting, is actually the search web. It is in experimental phase right now. One disclaimer about my presentation from today, I just want to show it to you, is the fact that these platforms are subject to modification and updates, and it is normal. The world evolves, technologies evolve, so please expect there are changes, but changes to improve even more the user experience. So search web is a great tool because actually you see the majority of these GPTs have been trained on data that dates from some previous time ago, right? So if you want to make sure you are updated and you receive the data that is the most current data, well, this is a toggle on that you can use this button for to search the web also for your questions. I'm not going to do that, but please be aware of the fact that this is one of the functionalities that I think are extremely interesting for people to discover. Instead of that, let's say that I'm feeling a bit down, under the weather, and I just wanna receive a compliment today, right? So let's ask h2oGPT to make us a compliment, right? So I'm going to write, can you please make me a compliment to feel better? And maybe it will give me something that I can feel better about. So let's see. Okay, you are a very kind person who always puts others before yourself. That's actually true. Your ability to empathize with those around you is truly admirable, and it's clear that you have a big heart. Keep up the good work. Oh my goodness, I love it. Like if I feel down, I can ask h2oGPT for a heads up. So and for a better situation. So I obviously for me, h2oGPT passes this test. Let's ask maybe h2oGPT for a recommendation. Let's see that we want to see a movie tonight and we want to have a list of let's say the greatest 5 action movies in the 90s, right? So I'm going to write here, give me a list of the greatest 5 action movies, if I'm writing correctly, of the 90s to watch with family and friends. Let's see what am I going to watch tonight as one of these movies. So we are receiving an answer. Matrix, that's a great option. Terminator 2, Die Hard, Speed, I haven't seen that one, and Lethal Weapon. Awesome. I think I can have some options here. Like I could spend all my day answering, asking questions and getting answers from h2oGPT. Let's have another test. And with this one, I'm going to move to the next thing that I want to show you. Give me a riddle. Here is a riddle. Am I Okay. What has 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs in the evening? Oh, really, Wendy? Yeah, it's a human. Okay, let's see. What? Let's see the answer. Is Wendy correct or not? Yes. Congrats. The answer is a human being. Okay,
Yay.
and it gives the explanation. Great. Kudos for that. Thank you. Okay, so you see that's great, like that's awesome. Like I could use that for other stuff, not just my curiosity, but this is just an example to show you that this is a solution to the hosted methods we have out there, which can actually be hosted in the on-premise if we want to. What I want to show you now is the GPT H2O AI, which is a version of the GPT that gives additional functionalities. Like this is awesome because we have here, in addition to the chat, we have a platform that actually gives us the possibility of querying and getting results, summaries, analysis from documents, from all sorts of places. So let me show you the system a bit. So here we have, for example, a couple of models. And of course, once again, h2oGPT is going to, the platform is going to get updated. And I'm super excited about that to see what the developer team comes up with. And here we have a couple of tabs. So the first one is directly the chat, where you can actually ask any sort of questions, exactly like we did in the previous situation. And in addition to that, if I scroll down, well, actually, you can see here all sorts of options, either to save the chat, to clear it, to regenerate the answer if you want to undo the question because you just typed it wrong. For example, export the chats, upload and import other chats from other sources, so all sorts of things. You even have this dark mode, which I like very much. And you can also upload chat files from previous discussions with other GPTs if you are interested, to give even more context of your queries. So that is actually the main tab window. And the one that I'm going to focus today on is the data source tab. So this is a page where, in addition to writing the chat, you can actually upload your own data files, right? So I told you about that article developed by our team with respect to developing H2oGPT. Well, actually, there is a place here where I can upload all sorts of files, PDF, doc, PNG, EPUB, JPEG, all sorts of files I can upload here. I can even upload a link, and I can upload also the text directly. So if I want, for example, to upload the file, I can just drag and drop the file. This is actually the file for the H2oGPT. And you have the possibility to upload it if you want to. If you click on add files to scratch my data, well, actually, H2oGPT is going to add it at its own database, right? So here, just to show you what document I'm referring to, well, this is it. It's democratizing large language models written by our team. And here I have a couple of pages with this content on H2oGPT, the models involved, the transformers, the fine-tuning process, and the results. So around 22 pages. But let's say I'm lazy and I'm not actually interested in reading all the document, even though I read it and I want to assure you it's worth reading, is extremely insightful if you want to read more about H2oGPT developed by our team. But let's say I uploaded it like this is, and I just want, for example, I just want to ask a summary of it, right? So this is what I previously done, and this is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to ask for a summary. So I'm going to write here, give me a summary of the H2oGPT file that I uploaded. I want to make sure that this is on the My Data button toggled on, so that H2oGPT knows that I want to take specifically information from this document. And I'm going to click on Submit and see what happens. So normally H2oGPT should be able to give me a summary from this entire document, just to know what this is about. Here I have a bit of a generic text that is writing right now. I might not specified correctly that I want from the data source directly the file. Let's see up to the end, because when you receive the answer, you are able to see actually at the end if the answer was inspired from the document that I uploaded or not. So I don't think it, yeah, okay, it got it from here. So the sources, that's what's interesting actually. At the end of the answer, you receive also the source from which the answer was inspired, right? So we are going to see here that the goal of this project is to create the world's best truly open source LLM with a focus on democratizing access to large language models. H2oGPT provides fact-based question answering for documents, and it gives additional details about what were actually the documents and the text that was uploaded. So it's a pretty good summary, I would say. It's pretty generic because I did not focus my question not to be generic. So what I can do, for example, is to just regenerate the answer and see if H2oGPT comes with additional information. And as a rule of thumb, please always make sure that when you are asking questions, ask specific questions. Otherwise, the GPT will come with generic answers, which you might already know or which you might not be so interested in, okay? So here, for example, we receive an additional text about this. And if we are curious, we can stay up to the end to see what the answer is. But what is great about this page is also the fact that you can upload information from an URL directly. So remember that functionality I showed you here, where you can search the web for incorporating additional answers? Well, this is great, because I can do that exactly the same here. So let's say, for example, I am interested in a Wikipedia page, and because I did not have another idea, I just pasted this link from the Wikipedia page about the Norwegian forest cat. So bear with me here. I might not want to read all the text. I might just want to receive a summary from it. So I'm going to copy paste the link in the H2oGPT to see what the answer is. And so I'm going to copy paste the link and click on the add URL content to scratch my data. Now, if I scroll down, I'm going to see that in my sources, there is not just one single line, which is the PDF document that I provided earlier, but also the Wikipedia link. So now maybe I want to ask another question, such as make me a summary of the Wikipedia page concerning Norwegian forest cats, let's say. I clicked on enter. Normally, I should be able to receive an answer. What I can do is also, instead of adding the link to the sources, to add the link directly in the chat, right? So I could say, make me a summary of this particular link directly in the chat if I want to. And so here I see that the source has been taken into consideration, and that this Wikipedia page actually gives me a summary, like H2oGPT gives me a summary of this particular Wikipedia page. So let's say Norwegian cats are very fluffy, right? and are a very good cat breed, but I would like to know what are the cons of it. Like, if I want to buy a Norwegian cat, what should I be aware of? I could either search 10 pages online for this, or just ask H2oGPT about it. What are the cons of having a cat from this link? Let's put it like that. Okay, so sometimes, as I said, it needs a bit of specification because you are using questions for different subjects in the same chat, and this is not actually my recommendation. When you want to start a new topic, normally my advice would be to refresh the page and start from zero. So here, the cons for having a Norwegian cat can include a lot of grooming due to their long fur, prone to some of these diseases, and they can be expensive to purchase. Okay. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with what I received here. Like if I want even more specific information about the health problems, I might just ask, give me the list to the top 3 health problems from this. Let's see what are the top 3 health problems of Norwegian cats. Okay, a word that I'm not sure I can pronounce very well. Second, yeah, so actually we have here the reasons. We have here the top 3 health problems of Norwegian forest cats, just to show you that we can actually summarize this. Instead, what I could have done was to just go here in the article and take this and just copy paste it in another option that we have available, paste text. So this is another option here. You can either add information from URL sources, from documents, or just adding text to scratch the data directly. So this is yet another third option that you can use. So a lot of possibilities. And once again, h2oGPT has possibility of being deployed on premises, and all sorts of documents that you have here are actually going to, with sensitive information, are going to stay in the servers on which you hosted the application. There are some other tabs here, just a quick note on them. Expert tab gives you additional information if you scroll down about what are the parameters involved into the current research, and you can change and tweak them if you know what you're doing. Normally, these ones are, the default ones are very, very good, but in case you want a more structured answer, a more straight to the point, if you want to enable early stopping and give penalties, you can definitely do that if you know what you're doing. Once again, there is a models tab. This tab actually has the possibility for you to select from the models. The current one is Falcon 40B, but there are some other options from which you can choose. And it is exactly like in this example that I gave you for the new chat. You can actually choose your models. That's great. If you know what models work best for your data, well, this is the place where you can tweak this information. And there is also additional information about the system and some disclaimers on the other tabs if you are interested in. But to summarize all this experience is the fact that being enabled to understand how to use these tools in your advantage is a great method to make sure they are put in place and they can be useful for you. They can make you more productive, and there are a lot of business cases that you can actually have along the way with them.